to desert my home, to enjoy my liberties. How would I find out if Harvey McLeod submitted an application to the American Colonization Society?
He may have written a letter, but the letters and the names are not in any kind of alphabetical order. A faster way might be to look at the ship's manifests for the period of the late 1870s and the 1880s.
Marie's colleague, history professor Eric Burritt, has created a database of immigrants to Liberia using U.S. and Liberian census records and Colonization Society ship manifests.
It includes information on the 16,000 Black Americans who immigrated to Liberia between 1820 and 1904.
So what can we find out about a specific individual using your database?
Name, age, sex, literacy, occupation. If Harvey McLeod is in there, we should be able to identify him that way.
Nice. Eric says that while overall migration slowed dramatically after the Civil War, the percentage of people migrating from the South rose significantly. Harvey McLeod had lived in Florida.
So what we have here are all the immigrants that left from Florida between 1820 and 1904.
102 migrants left on American Colonization Society ships for Liberia during the period when Harvey McLeod planned to set sail. Harvey isn't listed in any of the manifest records, but one of his letters was written from Archer, Florida, which Eric confirms is in Alachua County.
And Alachua County in particular seemed to be an epicenter of all the immigrants who left from Florida. 43% left from Alachua County.
Was there something peculiar going on in Alachua County?
I imagine a local historian would be able to tell you a lot more.
I want to see whether there is any trace of Harvey McLeod in Florida records. But first, let me see what I can find in South Carolina, where the family was from. If he was enslaved, I might find him using the last name of the slave master, McLeod. There's a John R. McLeod in Sumter County, South Carolina, who has a number of slaves that could be Harvey. And this guy is exactly the right age. He's listed as a fugitive from the state. He actually escaped from slavery. No wonder he wanted to get out of America and go to Liberia. He was already expressing those tendencies to leave, go out, and find his own freedom. That is, if this is our guy. I'm checking Florida census records from 1870. And there's a Harvey McLeod. He's a farmer, 27 years old, born in South Carolina, and this is interesting. He's living in Alachua County. Now, let's see how far we can go with this. Let's go to the next census, 1880. He's still a farmer in Alachua County in 1880, but after that, he disappears. Did he leave with other immigrants to Liberia? I've come to Alachua County, Florida to meet local historian Paul Ortiz. So the guy I'm investigating was here in the 1870s, and he was a farmer. And I'm trying to find out about him and the possibility that he may have moved to Liberia.
Wow, this is remarkable.
Paul tells me Harvey McLeod is emblematic of many blacks who first came to Florida. Like Liberia in the early 19th century, the state had promised freedom and a new start.
Enslaved African Americans found out early on that if they could make it to Florida, they had a chance to gain their freedom. You could join the Seminole Indians. These were Native Americans who were themselves fleeing from the British, trying to keep plantation slavery out of Florida.
In the years following emancipation, the future looked bright.
The year after the Civil War ended, Congress passed the Southern Homestead Act, and this act opened up tens of thousands of acres to small farmers. There was this tremendous sense of possibility. Some experts in the African American community referred to Florida as the Negroes' new Jerusalem.
But events in the late 1870s may also explain why Harvey McLeod was writing to his sister after the Civil War about moving to Liberia.
You had the election of 1876. Some people call it the Great Compromise, other people call it the Great Betrayal from a black perspective. Essentially, the Democrats gave the Republicans the election in return for the end of federal occupation of the South. The soldiers were pulled out. The Ku Klux Klan is very active in Alachua County. There are a lot of lynchings. The Southern Homestead Act has been repealed. So for a small farmer like Mr. McLeod, this is going to be a very difficult period of time to make a go of it.
Paul says not all immigrants to Liberia relied on the American Colonization Society.
there were these informal networks that people tried to use to raise funds to get to Africa.
Jim Powell at the Alachua County Archives has picked up Harvey's trail and found his signature on a long-ago property sale.
Okay, this is great. We have him signing a deed in Alachua County in Florida in 1883.
Harvey McLeod, who was once enslaved, was a landowner. He and his wife, Amy, were selling 1 acre of their land to the Board of Education for $1, basically giving it away. Was he freeing up land in preparation to move to Liberia?
Look what I found.
Jim has uncovered a key piece of evidence, but to confirm the information, I'm calling in a research request to my office.
Okay, here's what we know.
When the call comes in, it's more than I'd hoped for.
Hello? Yes. Right. Okay, that's good.
I think I found my man. I'm headed back to tell Vernita what I've learned. Your question led me on a fantastic journey, and what I discovered about Harvey McLeod was a very powerful story within itself. I tell her that her great-grand-uncle Harvey may have escaped from slavery.
Incredible.
And that he was an independent farmer and landowner in Florida.
This is amazing. It's phenomenal.
I found the answer to whether Harvey McLeod went to Liberia in a very surprising place.
This is another deep book. And on this far side, you've got Harvey McLeod, Jenny.
But the name is spelled differently. A clerk misspelled McLeod in official records. It's a slight variation, but explains why I missed him in the census records.
But if you'll look, it's the same piece of land between the two.
Same guy, same property, different spellings.
This land deed is for the transfer of small portions of Harvey's land to a third party, and it's dated 1902. That's 25 years after Harvey was planning to go to Liberia.
So Harvey McLeod did not go to Liberia.
He never made it.
How do you feel about that?
A little sad because in the letters it just sounded like it was just such a passion that he had, that he wrote from, that it was home, and it was like he needed to be back there.
The answer to the question of whether Harvey McLeod went to Liberia or not is only part of what we have to tell you. And now I need you to come outside with me.
There's more?
There's more. You can open your eyes now. I'll introduce you to your cousin, Eleanor. Go ahead.
Glad to meet you. This is Harvey McLeod. Yeah, he's named after your great-grandfather. It's so good to meet you.
There is no record of the elder Harvey McLeod after 1903, and his land has all been sold off. But once I discovered the other spelling of his name, I was able to track down his descendants, still living in Florida. Until now, they didn't know Vernita existed either. This reunion would surely make Harvey McLeod proud, just as he always wanted the family